I think we've just reached a point where the AI is more effective at a lot of things that different businesses do. So, I mean, it's like, okay, if you're starting a company, there's normally like some core idea or something that you're trying to do. And then there's like all these other things that you need to do to make a company work. And like, okay, if you want to reach customers, you've had to, like basically go find ways to do marketing. And then, okay, you want to make sure your marketing works well. So you need to like find ways to measure your marketing and all this. And I do think a bunch of that stuff, we're just getting to the point where the AI can do it better than sort of the average people who are doing that, which makes it so that more companies can get started more easily. I mean, this is also a big theme for Stripe, right? It's like, okay, companies also needed to spend all this time doing all this different stuff with financial services and payments. Now they don't have to. So I think what that allows is just way more people in the world to focus on what their core idea is and kind of execute that and have a core talent dense team of people who are like focused on that idea. And more of the stuff that's like not the core part of building your company is going to be able to be offloaded. So, in the future, if you were working with a creative agency to make creative, you'll probably keep doing that. If you aren't, then and you're just kind of hacking something together and throwing it into Meta's ad system, well, now we're going to be able to come up with like 4,000 different versions of your creative and just test them and figure out which one works best. It used to be that on the targeting side, like the way that our business kind of got started on the ad side was because people put all this profile information into Facebook early on. It used to be like a great place for a business to say, okay, I think my product is like, I think like women between 18 and 28 in this city are really going to love this thing. And like Facebook early on, it was like the best place to go reach them because, okay, we kind of knew who the people were and had all this, people had input all this demographic information. At this point, we basically encourage advertisers not to restrict what the AI can do. Like we're like, all right, look, if you think that like women in kind of this age range are going to be more receptive, then yeah, give us that hint as kind of an input to the system. But unless you really have a reason why you don't want to sell to other people, don't constrain who are going to reach to just that, because the AI is actually probably going to be able to find who is going to be interested in your product better than you can. And that just means that, okay, you just focus on building the best product. More stuff, that's awesome.
I think whenever you're talking about building digital types of connection, one of the first questions that you get is that going to replace the physical connection? And my answer to that, especially in the case of something like this, is that no, because people already don't have as much connection as they would like to have. It's not like this is replacing some sort of better physical connection that they would have otherwise had. It's that the average person would like to have 10 friends and they have 2, right? Or 3. And there's just more demand to socialize than what people are able to do given the current construct. And giving people the ability to be present with people who are in other places physically just seems like it will unlock more. It's not going to make it so, if I have glasses, it's not going to make it that I spend less time with my wife. It's going to make it so that I spend more time with, my sister who lives across the country. And I think that's good. I think people need that. As for the rest, I think we could probably spend a multi-hour podcast just going into all of the different kind of socio-economic, political dynamics that are going on. But none of the trends that I've seen does it seem like the primary thing that's going on is that because people are interacting online, they're now not interacting with people physically. It's now certainly I think I do interact with people online who I also like to interact with physically, and I think that's kind of like a combination, like more combined, richer relationship that you have overall. But I think that there's a lot going on with the loss of kind of social capital and connections that really predates a lot of the modern technology.
There's this culture in Silicon Valley that kind of makes startups seem glamorous. And I never really believed that, right? I never had a goal of starting a startup. And my goal when I realized that I had a company was to get it to be a good company as quickly as possible, right? And kind of get out of what you'd call the like risky startup phase where you are just like constantly about to die, and where you could get to a point where you can actually like, do some interesting things and make a lot of more interesting bets. And so I don't know. I never read a lot of the literature on this. And I mean, maybe if I had, then I wouldn't have made so many mistakes. But so I don't know if learning from me is the right way to go on this. But I mean, but it did. I think
your model must have come from somewhere, though, even if it was unintentional, right? Like, were you influenced by Peter Thiel or Sean?
Well, yes, I was influenced by all
met?
these people. Once I met them, I hadn't really heard of Peter Thiel before.
I'm
Sean
talking about
introduced
like,
me.
yeah, right.
Yeah, but I mean, he was massively influential on my thinking, right? I mean, like a lot of the early lessons that I took on how to think about strategy came from Peter and Sean. And I did pay a lot of attention when I was growing up to Microsoft. I grew up, using, Windows 3.1 and then Windows 95, and I just thought that those were like the most unbelievable things. And
in a sense, they are.
Yeah, they really were awesome, right? Well, I don't know if you meant that positively, but I did. And I thought, building this ecosystem was really neat, and that kind of inspired me, right? And the way that they built a platform, I kind of thought, okay, well, maybe one day, the tools that I'm building can be part of a broader ecosystem as well.
So I'm always very focused on people. And I think the most important decision you're probably going to make if you're in college is who you surround yourself with, because you become like the people you surround yourself with. And I sort of have this hiring heuristic at Meta, which is that I will only hire someone to work for me if I could see myself working for them. Not necessarily that I want them to run the company because I like my job, but in an alternate universe, if it was their company and I was looking to go work somewhere, would I be happy to work for them? And I think that's a helpful heuristic to help balance. When you're building something like this, there's a lot of pressure to, you want to build out your teams because there's a lot of stuff that you need to get done. And, everyone always says, don't compromise on quality, but there's this question of, okay, how do you know that someone is good enough? And I think my answer is I would want someone to be on my team if I would work for them. But I think it's actually a pretty similar answer to like, if you were choosing friends or a partner or something like that. So when you're kind of in college, trying to figure out what your circle is going to be, trying to figure out, you're evaluating different job opportunities. Who are the people, even if they're going to be peers in what you're doing, who are the people who in an alternate universe you would want to work for them because you think you're going to learn a lot from them because they are kind of values aligned on the things that you care about, and they're going to and they're going to push you, but also they know different things and have different experiences that are kind of more of what you want to become like over time. So I don't know. I think probably people are too, in general, objective focused and maybe not focused enough on the connections and the people who they're basically